I'm working with a 60-year-old woman in lots of distress. All of a sudden, she looks at her watch. Oh my God, I'm going to be late. For lunch for mummy, and send me a bill, and runs out the door. I'm with a man once in Chicago. There's the Eisenhower Freeway, which is about 5 lanes wide. Sunday afternoon, peak traffic trying to get to the airport, and it's raining. And all of a sudden, I realise it's raining inside the car. Now this is a 40-something-year-old man, living, maybe 35, 40, living by himself and everything, own employment and so forth. And he's crying. Why? I promised Mummy I'd be coming home for dinner and I'm going to be late. So we have to inch off the freeway so he can call Mummy on the phones, before cell phones. Mummy, I'm going to be late for dinner. I said, all right, Mummy. Brackets, will you please forgive me, Mummy? Please don't kill me, Mummy. And so this all leads to what I call the primary family work. That when you examine people, who is your primary family? Now, when you're a child, your primary family is Mummy, Daddy, your brothers, sisters. You get married, you leave home, your own primary family. Have a husband, say, primary family is me and my husband, and me and my kids, and so it goes on. But you'll find most people, nearly everyone, to some extent, and with many people much more so, the primary family is still Mummy. Not Mummy and Daddy, but Mummy. I mean, I've got many people that have to call Mummy every day on the phone. I've got someone I'll be seeing probably a day or two. Personally, I know her well since she was a little kid. And she's married with her own daughter, but every day she and her sister have to call Mummy. I had one woman with a primary family problem who was living with this man, and Mummy couldn't visit because they were living in sin, which Mummy wouldn't want. And he agrees, in his mind, makes a decision to marry her. The first person he tells is not his girlfriend, but her mother. So I think this primary family problem, which in the way I'm stating it seems to be fairly original, is one of the basic problems behind many, many diseases, especially cancer. Whenever you've got cancer, you've got a big primary family problem. I'm not saying, look, there's so much to do with cancer, physically and psychologically. I'm just grabbing one bit. But it always, so if you're married to someone with a primary family problem, then you're not really married to her. She's really married, or can be a he too, is really married to Mummy, and you're not in the race. I got to one woman now with huge Mummy problems, and I know this woman. Her mother, bilateral mastectomy. Her mother's mother, mastectomy. The double mastectomy's sister died of cancer. And here is this woman at 35 with breast cancer. The only time she ever had peace is when she was living in Africa with the man she was about to marry, and she felt removed from her mother. And she called her mother to say she was going to get married. And I said, without me being present? And so the wedding was put off. They came to America, where they lived, and the mother arranged the wedding, the guest list, the whole thing. And not this mother, but the girl protested, said, don't you realise this is my wedding? And so she has a little child and so forth, and she gets this cancer. Now I know that mother, and the mother is not trying to be hateful, negative. She's just passing on the primary family problem. She never left her mother's nest, and she doesn't want her daughter to leave her nest, and so it's just transmitted on. And so, and then when the girl calls up to say she's having surgery, and the mother's talking about her feelings about it and how much it upsets her. This primary family is enormous. When I'm looking at any difficulty with any people now, I say, what is the primary family situation here? And the more you look at it, the more you find it. I had one woman who would get migraines just when she thinks, she's married like 30-something years, and has her own children, just when she thinks mummy might call. And she could be 2-3 days in bed after an innocent phone call from mummy. Do you think she ever had a marriage? That's why a husband is so happy to be divorced, because you're not with that woman, you're with her mother. And I think a lot of the reason why there's difficulties between, I'm putting it this way, between son-in-laws and mother-in-laws is because the mother-in-law doesn't want the girl married, because that takes the girl, in this case the girl, further away from her, as her mother did to her. And so primary family is enormously important. I'd like to say that for so many serious, degenerative, even fatal illnesses, the psychopathology of it, not to deny there's other factors involved, but a lot of the psychopathology in these earlier illnesses always seems to relate to primary family. It's very, very, very important. Now, so people say, well, what about the father? Well, if the father has a primary family problem, that makes it, he can have the problem and not the mother, particularly. So that is not easy to deal with, but far easier to deal with, because he comes in much, much later. But he will see his child as his mother, who's, as it were, primary family him. Therefore, he can never relate to the child as fully, and he can't support his wife in what he's doing, because he really wants to be back with mummy, not with her in the first place, and she's stuck with the kid. Now, there's another factor involved in the primary family problem, which is, why is the woman having the baby in the first place? Well, assuming it's not by accident, but it's intention. When I go into their unconscious, why are they having it? Is it, as Margaret Murray was saying, to bring a little spirit into the world, this wonderful creature? Yes, there's always a part of that. But the usual reason when you dig down is because her mummy wants a grandchild. The woman can be living with someone for years, nothing said. The day they get married, you see, that's what a baby looks like, you see? And the mother wants grandchildren. Well, for reasons we could go another time. But so very often the negativity starts because at a deep level the mother knows this is not really my choice in the first place. Superficially she may think so, but underneath not. And the unconscious, always is the ruler. That's standard Freud. And one way is that you can help a person with a primary family problem, male or female, I'm using a woman, but it could be either sex, is that to make the mother treat them as an adult. For example, I had a woman, and she's living in New York. Her mother lives in London. She goes back to visit mummy, and the mummy's out somewhere, I forget where, past Birmingham somewhere, and the daughter is like 30 or nearly 40 at this time, about 40, arrives in London. So she calls her mother. Mother says, "Darling, you didn't tell me what flight you were coming in on." "But I'm here, mother." And then, "Darling, did you bring an umbrella?" Now, for heaven's sake. Now, so what you try to do is to stop that type of conversation and relate to the mother and the father, because it can be both sexes, as an adult. "Darling, did you bring an umbrella?" "Well, what do you think about what's happening in Afghanistan?" Or, "What do you think about," and get them to talk, because they talk to your mother adult to adult, and make her talk to you adult to adult. And that starts to help the child now as an adult to be free of the nest. But it's a very, very difficult situation, because it's been there before the child knew. It's not something imposed later. It's there from the very, very beginning. So as far back as you can go, it's never, primary family's never really been mummy, daddy, brothers or sisters. It's always really been just mummy. Yeah, and say in this case, the father can make all sorts of attempts to try to get close to the child, but doesn't really work. Because whatever he does, mummy still has this extra pull. But of course, remember, I'm putting it in terms of mother, because that's the more important one to deal with. But it's there with both of them.